Hi, this is David Youhas, elevator shop at the University of Illinois, Shop 33, and I've been working on a relational database for our elevator shop. The elevator shop is part of a pilot program where we're using iPads to save time at work and capture information. The advantage of a relational database over a spreadsheet is known as a flat file. Very valuable to be able to store lots of information. However, when you have different types of information, it gets to become redundant. And what's cool about the relational database is that you're able to use multiple spreadsheets but put them all together on a single form. And I'll demonstrate that right now. So this is the basic form, and when I was designing this, I was thinking of that I'm going to be at an elevator, and so it made sense to create it that way, the form viewing it from a single elevator at a time. So up here at the top you have some important information: the building name, U of I elevator ID, the address, also like what zone the elevator is in, and who the mechanic is for that zone. So just as an example, I am in zone 6, so I have buildings that are in this area. And so if somebody else was working on my elevator, they would be able to come to this particular building, click on the zone mechanic, it automatically would give that information. I haven't yet typed in my phone number and contact information, but this is a good resource for the electrician shop doing smoke tests and a lot of the other shops, everything from sump pumps to anything electrical. Even the drywall shops, the plumbers. This is something that anyone would be able to use to find out, okay, who's the mechanic I need to get a hold of, instead of making lots of phone calls and a lot of redundancy and time wasting. Additionally, there are times when I'm at somebody else's elevator, or another elevator mechanic is at my elevator. And so what's challenging is when you go to somebody else's elevator, there's so many people that work there at the U of I that I don't know all the time who I need to contact when I get in the building. And so building contact is really important customer service. So as an example, if somebody was to come to my elevator and they, this LAR building, who is it that's in charge of that? Who do they need to contact to let them know that their elevator's down, or that they're working on their elevator, or the elevator's going to be down overnight? And all they would have to do is go to this contacts area, and when they click on that, it automatically populates this information that has been identified with this building. And so that makes it really easy, whether you need to call them on the phone or page them or email them. To mention, on this page, it shows the elevator emergency phone number. And the value of this is we have to test these frequently to make sure that the emergency phone is working for the, potentially if anyone were to get trapped in the elevator. So this is good for us as well, because there's so many phone numbers. There's hundreds of elevators on campus. Just want to kind of show you some other stuff that I've put into this. There's a lot of information that is unique to each elevator. And so, for example, elevator equipment, if I was to click on this tab, it then breaks down into further tabs. So like there's general information, there's the manufacturer, car speed, capacity, is it a traction, is it a hydro, let's say it's a traction, how many floors, the control type, elevator description and notes. A lot of the times other shops will come over or the engineers will ask questions like, what is the capacity of the car? And this is just very easy. It doesn't change. This is information that's already known, and this is a place where it could be stored. As far as the controller, there's some important information. There's a serial number that's unique to each job. There's a model number, incoming voltage, phases. Additionally, fire equipment, there's all kinds of information that's unique to the elevator, and we test this annually, and some even quarterly, some monthly. Everything from, there's smoke detectors in the machine room, yes, sprinklers, shunt trip, all of this is important information. Also, there's different fire service keys, so it's good to keep track of that. And let's see, car equipment, there's information. It's handy at your fingertips. Information like the doorbell. If you need to order a doorbell instead of having to go make a trip just to go there, you can just pull it up on your iPad. It's with you. Lots of different part numbers. There's some information unique just for a hydro. For example, the piston size, the run pressure. A lot of this stuff also when we do our annual safety tests, this is information that we need to have on hand so we know if there's pressures that are changing, there's something going on with the elevator. And this is stuff that we keep on the job. It would be awesome to already have it at your fingertips on your iPad that you carry with you. Traction, there's some unique things with traction elevators that hydros do not have. There's a governor with a traction elevator. There's also different types of safeties with the different types of elevators, the traction elevators. There's governor rope size, there's numbers of ropes, and then also almost all of these tabs will have whatever the tab is, like traction, hydro, car equipment. I've included a notes area that you can just put some information down there if there isn't already a space for it. And what's nice about this FileMaker, it's easy to add these spaces later on. Each one of these, by the way, each one of these tabs is a spreadsheet, and then through this whole form, it relates them together, and that's the beautiful thing about a relational database. There's also parts. As we add, as we order certain things, it's really nice to have that part number and even like the manufacturer of the part. Some things we use more often than others, but it's just really nice and very easy to store that information in here. Okay, operation keys. This is something that if you don't have this written down, you can run into a problem, because if the key breaks off in the switch and there's no part ID on the key switch itself, how do you know what key switch to replace it with? And that's one of the challenging things. And again, it's just you write this down one time and you always have it. There's some motor information here that's really good to have. Everything, again, like motor brushes. Motor brushes, they put the part number right on the brush, but if the brush gets wore down past the part number, you don't have that part number anymore if you don't write it down. So, generally everyone writes down their part numbers, but it's easy to miss something like that. But here it's easy to capture all that information. Okay, so that's all of these sub-tabs in this elevator equipment. Here's some other stuff that I see as incredibly valuable to have on hand. So this is the tests. We do different tests each year, depending on if it's a hydro or traction. Tractions every 5 years will get what's called a 5-year full load test, where we actually put the weights on the car, and then otherwise just annually they're tested with a Cat 1 test. What's cool about this is I can actually I created PDFs for the different tests, the Cat 1, Cat 5, and the smoke tests that we store right now in the box. It's an online storage space that all the elevator mechanics can access, as well as the people in the office, so that they can print these off and have the records available. What would be really cool is to see, if you click on this, you're able to add a picture, which could be the PDF of that particular test, and then you can just accumulate these. And each year, if you have any questions about the test, to get information off of there. Sometimes the state inspector will have a question, or we'll have a question for him, and it's just very easy just to pull this, this up online or on your iPad that's unique to each of your elevators. Instead of having to go, hunt for a file somewhere trying to find this stuff, it can just all be right there on your iPad. To-do list. This is something that I like. I'm a list person, so I create to-do lists. Also, it's called a punch list. Each elevator's got its own unique challenges. Sometimes after the test that we do, we come up with a list of some things that didn't necessarily, it didn't cause the test to fail, but it was something that was requested. Just take care of this. And so here's a nice place to put those items. Just things that need to be, whether it's a maintenance issue or whatever, just things that we need to keep track of, because there's so much. We're very busy, and if we don't write it down, I won't remember it anyway. One of the things we started doing in the last year, the cause code, what is causing the problems with the elevator, and this kind of helps figure out, are there some things that we can do to enhance this elevator that will either save us money or, ultimately create a better experience, customer service for each of the buildings. Repairs, sometimes we'll have repairs on elevators, and again, you can keep track of those as they happen. Maintenance, potentially, and I haven't really filled this out as much as I want to yet. There's a lot of potential here. When I used to work for Kona Elevator, we had a maintenance routine that, this month you're going to take a look at this, the next month you're going to take a look at this, you're going to look at the hoistway, you're going to look at the doors, and so, potentially this has only got 2 spaces here now, but this could be expanded into a calendar of events, of things to make sure that everything's looked at on the elevator. There's so many different components, everything from underneath the elevator to on top of the elevator, into the hoistway, into the machine room inside of the elevator. There's a lot of parts and components, and we want to make sure that we look at all of those over the year's time, some more frequently than that. Prints, again, this is a storage container here. I can insert photos and charts and things like that. Could actually scan the prints for the job. Sometimes challenged with troubleshooting, and it'd be nice to have the prints at your fingertips that you could send to either another mechanic or to the supervisor or other resources as we work with companies that help us to troubleshoot our elevators. Keeping the prints in a digital format, that would just be awesome. And then here's, of course, the zone mechanic. This is whoever is assigned to that particular zone, their contact information comes up. Just one last thing I wanted to mention that's really awesome about this FileMaker program, that the application called FileMaker Go is available at the App Store for free. So once this database is made, it can be shared with username and password, so not just anybody's looking at it. It also can be in the cloud, so as somebody makes a change in one thing, like if they log a call, then it automatically updates the cloud database, so everything is synced with each other. And so, when one mechanic does one thing, all the other mechanics are able to see that information, that changed information or added information. Yeah, the FileMaker Go is a really cool program, and that it's free, that's a plus as well, because, some of these other programs, they want you to purchase the application per device, and that would get very expensive very quickly. But this FileMaker Go that works with FileMaker Pro is absolutely free. Well, that is everything so far, and would love to hear your input and feedback about your thoughts and any way to enhance and improve this.